We are going to start physiography of physical setting, paper 2, section 1. First we will try to have the detail of syllabus. We will start with physical setting, space relationship of India with neighboring countries. What do we mean by that? Boundaries. Yes, go ahead. Black marker.
Inter-country water treaties.
Space, yeah, inter-country.
Water treaties, rivers and all.
Rivers and all, that will be included in the border areas. Space relation means basically the convergent zone. Convergent not in plate tectonic sense. Convergent zone, basically what you call the border areas. In border areas, we generally have the frontiers and boundaries. The older concept, yet still valid in many senses. The new concept. Frontiers are basically zone. Boundaries are basically lines. Is primarily a cultural term, a geographical or territorial term. Now in border areas, all things will be included, all aspects, positives and negatives. So role of physiography in affecting socio-political and economic relationship. So when we talk about space relationship, though geographical perspective, how physiography or geography affect the social, politic and economic aspects. Economic will be basically trade related issues. Social, exchange of ideas between the communities. Political, obviously, that creates disputes between the two countries, which basically creates political trouble. And here we'll have the physical features that includes the land boundaries plus rivers plus forest, accessibility, inaccessibility, all will be included here. That's what we say, a space relationship of India with its neighboring countries. Now the moment you have good relationship with your neighbors, it helps you grow at a faster rate in a peaceful manner. Unfortunately, we as a country do not have good relationship because of the historical past. Whatever problems we have with China is primarily associated with our historical factors, and in the present day it is economic rivalry. With Pakistan and Bangladesh, again in the post-independent period, the way we bifurcated and trifurcated later on, that has created enmity against each other. Nepal, again a buffer zone in the historical past between the British Empire and the Chinese and the rest. So Nepal has also been a zone where geopolitically relatively important area, basically because of emerging economies of China and India. Same is about geopolitical condition of Jammu and Kashmir. The locational aspect, geopolitical, The term is the earth influencing the politics of the world. The moment we say earth, that means it may be its location, it may be its resources. Right? Geopolitics of West Asia is associated with its resources. Geopolitics of, let's say, Malacca Strait is location. So geopolitics of Jammu and Kashmir is not associated with resources, but its location. If we see from that perspective, things will be relatively cool. Right? Jammu and Kashmir is located, which can give India a direct access to Central Asia, is located in such a manner that it is in the node in between China, Pakistan, Central Asia and India. So if you keep that area disturbed, so the whole countries can remain, all the countries can remain rival against each other. So that is basically involvement of international politics. It's not much to do with the local politics. Like this Chechnya in Russia, if you see the location of Chechnya, you will understand so many things. We have Caspian Sea, right? Look at here, Caspian Sea, Black Sea. Right? So if we see Caspian Sea and Black Sea, the Chechnya location is here, just along the Caucasus Mountain. This gives direct access to West Asia, to Russia, and the Cold War between Russia and US has created an issue where they will try every bit to exploit wherever the situation is vulnerable. Now Chechnya is one of the most productive oil producing region of Russia, oil and natural gas, right? So if you keep this area disturbed, you are not only disturbing the Russian production, but also reducing the access of people's access of Russia to West Asia, right? So that is in the interest of international politics to keep it disturbed. So like same is about China's Xinjiang province. That is again the most important oil producing region of China, right? Fortunately or unfortunately, all these areas are inhabited by Muslims, tribal Muslims, right? So that has created, primarily it is geopolitical situation, but religion is primarily used to mobilize the forces, to antagonize them. Obviously, and since the dominant ruling party is not Muslims, they can easily be disturbed. Same is about the West Asian countries, whether you talk about Iraq, whether you talk about Syria or any other country, it is primarily geopolitics, right? Every other thing is basically a consequence of that. From a geographer's point of view, that will always be a consequence of geopolitics. Similar way, the way we have Himalayas, so obviously Himalaya has its own role to play in many positive ways, but it has negativity also, right? One of the biggest reason why Jammu and Kashmir terrorism could not be controlled properly as compared to Punjab is primarily because of the terrain. So when it comes to space, we'll discuss the effect of physiography in the space relationship between India and its neighboring countries. So we'll have to talk about the way space relationship has governed in the historical past and then the present situation. For example, India, Bangladesh. We used Ganga river as a border between India and Bangladesh. And now Ganga keeps on changing its location, meandering of rivers. तो अब जैसे एक सिंपल सा एग्जांपल है, गंगा अगर ऐसे बह रही है तो ये बांग्लादेश हो गया, ये इंडिया हो गया. Now all the enclaves which are close, or villages or the hamlets which are close to it, are either a part of Bangladesh or India. One fine year, Ganga tried to, कि चलो भाई आज मन करता है दूसरे तरफ से घूम लें. So Ganga has tried to move through this. Now look at here, the Indian enclaves went into Bangladesh, and the Bangladesh enclave came into the part of India. So that is how physiography has affected. Recently, in the recent days, the importance of water is continuously increasing, with increasing population and multiple use of water, including hydroelectricity project, irrigation system, right? So all these, that's how the rivers are becoming more and more important. So river is nowadays also playing an important role in determining the relationship, a space relationship between the countries. Then second topic is structure and relief. Structure means geological makeup. That is types of rocks, nature of folding, faulting, etc. Then geological history with respect to the rocks only. This is what we mean by structure. Whether it is metamorphic, igneous, sedimentary. If the metamorphic is there, whether it is sedimentary to metamorphic or metamorphic to metamorphic, igneous to metamorphic, these type. Nature of folding or faulting. The Himalayan region is a folded area. Narmada Tapi is a faulted area. Ganga plain is a four deep. That's the term we use. Peninsular Plateau is has the oldest history. In fact, a part of the oldest proto-continental nuclei in the world. If you take 3, 4, 5 continental areas, India is one of them. So that is historical perspective. Geological history with respect to rock, whether it is Archean, whether it is Gondwana, Tertiary, all these are the geological history of rocks. We'll discuss that in structure of the area. Relief means slope. Again determined by physiography. Plays very important role in human activities. Hope we can recall our discussion with slope. Right? Then plays an important role in determining the extent of exogenetic forces. Plays all these plays an important role in human activities, social activities, economic activities. All plays an important role in soil formation, mineral resources, etc. Structure and relief separately with respect to the physiographic divisions. Third topic is drainage system and watershed. Drainage system, डस्टर ले आओ नया वाला, गीला हो गया, साफ नहीं हो रहा है. Drainage system and watershed. Drainage system is basically networks of streams. And related, basically the study of rivers. Types of rivers, then river regime, all these topics will be a part of drainage system. Watershed is a geo-hydrological unit draining at a common point. It's basically a concept related to rivers or water utilization. Related to planning. Mechanism of Indian monsoon and rainfall patterns. Now here we don't need to discuss about the terms because I hope we understand. The only thing is that rainfall pattern. The pattern means? Yes, geometric shape. Geometric shape attained by, like drainage system and drainage pattern. Drainage system is primarily about the networks of streams. In that we read the antecedent drainage, the consequent, the insequent and all that, right? When we talk about drainage pattern, we talk about a star-like pattern. We talk about annular pattern. We talk about dendritic pattern, tree-like shape, rectangular pattern. So actually, the actual shape made by a particular entity we deal with the term pattern. Very often students are confused with distribution. Though you will only talk about distribution, but in a slightly different manner. Pattern is the winter pattern, the summer pattern, the annual pattern, right? The regional pattern, intra-regional pattern. Actually, it is distribution only, but you don't take the figures or the data with respect to distribution. You take a general, broader aspect. For example, the pattern of rainfall in northern plain is that it decreases from east to west. This is a pattern, right? The pattern in Peninsular Plateau is Western Ghat southward it increases and Western Ghat eastward. Westward is different pattern and eastward is different pattern. Within the same Peninsular Plateau, the north-south pattern is different and east-west pattern is different.
Leeward and windward side is
Yes, that is leeward and windward is west to east. Right? When we talk about Western Ghat, so obviously we talk about that this is the when the wind is moving along the Western Ghat, it is windward or leeward side, that is east-west. But what about the north-south pattern within the Peninsular Plateau itself? There is a different pattern. The decrease and increases in a different direction. That is pattern. Right? So basically you talk about distribution, but your language is different. You try to talk about in the shape manner. The overall rainfall takes a different shape, and that we'll talk about the rainfall pattern. So if we try to reorganize the syllabus, first we'll discuss this, and then we'll go to this. Because rainfall distribution play a very important role in the evolution of drainage system, right? Drainage system affects watershed. Similarly, when we go for physiographic division, first we'll talk about the physiographic regions and then we'll talk about the structure and relief.
So then, can we do the difference between distribution and pattern in rainfall?
Come again?
The difference between distribution and pattern.
Yes, distribution you talk about that high rainfall area, very high rainfall area, moderate rainfall area, low rainfall area, very low rainfall area.
So distribution may be component of pattern.
Yes, one component of
So
pattern.
is it systemic and regional approach का difference something?
नहीं, उतना नहीं है. पैटर्न का, जब हम रेनफॉल पैटर्न की बात करते हैं, सिस्टमेटिक और रीजनल अप्रोच अगर थॉट में चले जाएं तो उतना इसमें ज़रूरत नहीं है डालने की. When we talk about pattern, the overall shape taken by the rainfall distribution. So distribution is maybe just one component, but when you are talking about rainfall pattern, let the examiner believe that you understand the term.
So they also include physiography.
Yes, physiography as well. Like for example, the pattern in the northern India, the pattern in the southern India, the pattern in Ganga plain. So it's the same distribution in Ganga plain. When you talk about distribution in Ganga plain, you say that eastern Ganga plain receives very high rainfall, come under the ISO height of 150 cm. That is distribution. When you talk about pattern, you just simply say that the rainfall, the pattern in northern plain, it decreases from east to west in general. Right? In the same northern plain, what is the north-south pattern? So when you move from Himalaya towards Ganga valley, the rainfall again decreases. So that is basically a distribution, but just one component. Next term is tropical cyclones and western disturbances. Tropical cyclones we have already talked about, but with a special reference to India, we'll give some special emphasis to it. They are basically cyclones, both. This is temperate cyclone in its dissipation stage. Reaches India under the influence of subtropical westerly jet. A winter time phenomena. Summer phenomena. Floods and droughts. It is this same topic is there in contemporary issues also. Contemporary issues, the last topic of paper 2. That's natural vegetation. That is the forest type we'll discuss together with when we are discussing biogeography, environmental geography. Then soil types and their distribution. Again, together with biogeography, paper 1. Here, inherent topic is the erosion, impoverishment, soil conservation. Climatic regions of India. इसमें नहीं दिया हुआ है क्या सिलेबस? Climatic regions, yes. Climatic regions. Climatic regions, the same climatic classification. Generally for India, Quappen's classification used, and few other names are there. Dudley stamp is there. One more name is there. So we'll use that 3 types of classification. Since we have finished climatology, we'll start climate of India first. Thereafter we'll go for physiographic divisions. a brief look at the nature of questions. Explain shifting of river courses and river capturing in the Himalayas. Part of drainage system, right? Mention the space relationship of India with neighboring countries. Similar. Discuss the role of spatial pattern of rainfall and temperature in the delimitation of climatic regions of India, especially with respect to Stamps classification, climatic regionalization. Now, in Indian perspective, when we go for synoptic classification, can physiography be used as a factor or basis? That will be an innovation from your side. Suppose the question is open-ended. Divide India into different climatic zones and discuss the basis of your division. So you should prefer to go for synoptic climatology because it is your choice. If any name is not mentioned, you are free to choose the way you want. So it's not necessary that temperature and precipitation, which is further affected by physiography also, right? So physiography, especially with respect to India, can be an important aspect in determining these two. This dominant aspect. Yeah.
Here we have to mention about rainfall and temperature. So we have to emphasize more on them or physiology?
No, when we discuss his Stamps classification, he has taken these two as basis only. So it is not a very different or a specific question. The Stamp classification is dependent on these two features. Describe the flood-prone areas and their management problems in the Ganga plain. Describe the flood-prone. Describe means you have to simply talk about the flood, which are the flood-prone areas, and their management problems in the Ganga plain. Why it is difficult to manage. What else?
Settlements along the
Encroachment, neighboring countries. ऐसा नहीं कह सकते हैं, नेपाल से तो हमारे अच्छे रिलेशन है, अभी थोड़ा सा बदतमीजी करने लगा है, अलग सी बात है, बट वी हैव शेयर्ड वेरी गुड रिलेशनशिप विद नेपाल थ्रू आउट द हिस्ट्री. वो बेसिकली माओइस्ट का कह सकते हैं, a little bit of poor handling of from our side is also responsible for that. But the growth and development of Maoism, which is closer to the Chinese one, and China was always loved to, that's what I have been telling, would love to create panic, disturbances in India.
Type of soil and amount of silting,
Dredging, several factors. Damming of river itself, deforestation.
excessive habitation in flood plain area.
Basically both natural as well as anthropogenic factors. It's not that it's purely natural. It's not that it's purely anthropogenic. We have natural factors also. The Ganga plain, the nature of soil, right? The nature of topography. Topography means what? How it is different from physiography? What do you mean by physiography? None of you ask.
It's just topography is a localized
Relief feature. Good.
and physiography is a whole considered taken as a larger area.
Physiography is basically the present day relief feature when seen with respect to its causative factor. That is physiography. Present day relief when seen with respect to or explained with causes of its origin as well. That is physiography. And topography is micro level undulations. Geomorphology is much bigger term. which includes micro, meso and macro, all these three. Look at 5 questions were there in first to 5 in 2016. Describe the distribution of black soil in India and their specific use for agriculture. Okay, black soil is basically associated with clay type of soil. थोड़ा सा basic अगर आप लोग को याद हो, clay soil, water holding capacity, and then black soil distribution is in an area where you have low amount of rainfall. And with respect to that, you can talk about cotton requiring high amount in historical perspective. Then 2015 question starts from question number 6. Explain the pattern of winter rainfall in India. Right? Pattern of winter rainfall. Similarly, basically distribution. Right? Winter, during winter. हाँ, साउथ ईस्टर्ली नहीं, उसको हम नॉर्थ ईस्ट मानसून बोलते हैं, नॉर्थ ईस्ट और रिट्रेटिंग मानसून उसको, देन वेस्टर्न डिस्टर्बेंसेस, राइट, देन द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ थंडरस्टॉर्म्स एंड ऑल ऑफ साउथ चाइना सी which enters through Himalayan trough. How does natural vegetation affect the formation of in situ soil? In situ and ex situ, I hope we understand. In situ means at the same place. Ex situ means, like for example, the alluvial soils are ex situ soils, because they are formed, they are eroded in Himalayan region and deposited in northern plain. So they are ex situ soils or ex situ activities. In situ means this is like red soil. The best example of in situ soil, black soil is the best example of in situ soil. Weathering, erosion, most of the things takes place right there, and then you have soil formation. Soil is not a drifted one. How does natural vegetation affect the formation of in situ soil? So first you'll have to understand in situ soil, a general effect of natural vegetation on soil, and then correlate it.
In this, do you have to talk about microbes which help in producing soil grains?
In fact, you have to talk about the effect of vegetation.
Microbes?
So vegetation affects microorganism also. Yes, weathering, definitely, humification, leaching. Leaching is a process of downward movement of soil. तो जब हम soil पढ़ लेंगे तो ये सब सवाल बहुत आसान हो जाए. We'll only discuss more on the quality of answer rather than the content in this section, because this section questions जो आते हैं basically paper 2 में, that is relatively of shallow nature, but fetching marks is very difficult. We'll try to work upon that on daily basis. जैसे इसी questions की बात करें तो generally लोग बहुत छोटी छोटी बात करेंगे, weathering पे बात करेंगे. We can include almost entire thing. Now look at here, explain how does natural vegetation affect the formation of in situ soils. Now the question is asked in second paper. So most of the students will write about India examples, you write about the world level. Getting my point? This is open-ended question. And they are not mentioning you that write about the Indian soils. How it is? Obviously, you take examples from India. Similarly, when you write first paper, try to bring a lot of examples from India. Other way around. Right? So every factors can be included here. Bring out the distribution of laterite soils in India and their specific use for agriculture. How is drainage pattern determined while water divide? How is drainage pattern? Look at here, drainage pattern is not specifically mentioned in the syllabus, yet they are asking question. Because we have talked about drainage system and watershed. So drainage system is one component of overall drainage area. So we'll talk about drainage pattern also. Describe the salient climatological characteristics of Rayalaseema region. Very tough question. Why? Pragya is asking why.
ऑब्वियस होना चाहिए था 2014 का क्वेश्चन है 2014 में तेलंगाना फॉर्म हुआ तो रायलसीमा की तो बहुत सारी बात हुई थी उस समय
नहीं, look at here. Discuss the salient climatological characteristics of Rayalaseema region. Climatological characteristics, and you have to write 150 words for a small area. चलो लिखो.
We can write on the 11th one.
yes
Hmm?
We can write with respect to climate of Eastern Ghat. From there we can.
No, Eastern Ghat, all the Eastern Ghat has hugely different climatic regions, micro level climate, and Rayalaseema is a relatively very small area along the eastern region. Not at all a part of that was Eastern Ghat also.
Leeward side.
It's a plain area, not leeward side.
It falls in that.
Leeward side of what?
So Nalla
Rayalaseema is
उसका leeward side तो
Nalla region जो है.
उसका leeward side to Rayalaseema.
हाँ, तो not exactly that leeward side. Why is it cyclones are not approaching? Why it is a dry region? If it is a dry, the small area. नहीं, किस तरह से अप्रोच किया जाए इस तरह के क्वेश्चन को जो एक छोटे से एरिया के बारे में पूछ लेता है. सपोज कीजिए ठीक है, रायलसीमा के बारे में आपको दंडकर्णिया पूछ दिया, गरजाट हिल्स पूछ दिया. फॉर दैट यू नीड टू बी वेरी वेरी स्पेसिफिक एंड क्लियर अबाउट द फिजियोग्राफी ऑफ इंडिया, मैप वाइज. इवन सॉइल्स के लिए जैसे पूछ लिया है, क्या पूछ लिया ये लैटराइट सॉइल के बारे में पूछ देता है. ब्रिंग आउट दिस डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ लैटराइट सॉइल इन इंडिया and their specific use for agriculture. So first part you are supposed to talk about the distribution. Now how specific you have to be to write about the distribution of laterite soil. You have to give map also, right? The nature of formation of laterite soil will be a very general factor, but its role in agricultural activities, especially in a country like us. तो जो छोटे एरियाज को तो उसमें फिजियोग्राफिक डिवीजन इफ यू आर वेरी क्लियर अबाउट इट, दैट मीन्स ईच एंड एवरी माइक्रो लेवल फीचर्स मस्ट बी इन योर माइंड टू बिगिन विथ. एटलीस्ट ब्रॉडर तो बहुत जरूरी है, जैसे मालवा प्लेटो, बुंदेलखंड रीजन, राइट, रोहिलखंड रीजन, रार प्लेन, छोटा नागपुर प्लेटो तो फिर भी बहुत फेमस हो गया. बट इस तरह की चीजें आपके जहन में बिल्कुल क्लियर, सिर्फ ये नहीं होना चाहिए उसका लोकेशन, बट ऑल दी सराउंडिंग्स मस्ट बी प्रिटी क्लियर टू यू टू राइट अ प्रॉपर आंसर, टू फेच हायर मार्क्स, टू मेक योर आंसर डिफरेंट फ्रॉम योर कॉम्पिटिटर्स. वहां पे एक प्रॉपर मैप होना चाहिए, मैप का स्पेसिफिकेशन होना चाहिए. वे उस सेकेंड पेपर में आपको 20, 25, 30 मार्क्स का मैप भी आता है, राइट, तो उसके लिए भी आपको प्रिपेयर करना है. तो दैट विल हेल्प यू बोथ. इंडियन ज्योग्राफी में मार्क्स लाने के लिए मैप का यूज बहुत ज्यादा होना चाहिए, ये ध्यान रखिए आप. ठीक है. एक्सप्लेन द टोपोग्राफिकल एंड स्ट्रक्चरल कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ द शिवालिक रेंज. टोपोग्राफिकल एंड स्ट्रक्चरल बोथ. टोपोग्राफिकल का मतलब क्या हुआ, यहाँ पे ऊंचा है, वहां पे नीचा है, ये पासेज है, वो एलिवेटेड पोर्शन है, ये पीक है, दैट इज टोपोग्राफिक. देन स्ट्रक्चरल इज अ सिंपल फोल्ड, इट इज मेड अप ऑफ सेडिमेंटरी रॉक्स डोमिनेंटली, रिलेटिवली लेस क्रम्पल्ड, नॉट एब्सेंस ऑफ नैप एंड ऑल. ये सब हम बात करेंगे, लेकिन इस तरह की चीजें करनी है यहाँ पर. फिर एक मैप यहाँ पे भी डालना है आपको, शिवालिक रेंज के डिफरेंट रेंजेस दिखाने होंगे. हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. दून्स वगैरह भी आएंगे, दून्स आएंगे, द्वार्स आएंगे, देयर स्ट्रक्चरल वैलीज, वो टोपोग्राफी में आ जाएगा. स्ट्रक्चर की जब हम बात करेंगे तो जब हम स्ट्रक्चर की बात करेंगे तो उस वैलीज में रिवराइन डिपॉजिट्स है या ग्लेशियल डिपॉजिट्स है. जैसे हम कारेवास की बात करते हैं, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, सो जम्मू एंड कश्मीर वैली इज प्राइमरली मेड अप ऑफ fluvio-glacial phenomena. So the moment you say glacially created landforms, means the size of soil will be bigger, coarse, porosity, permeability, इस तरह की हम बात कर लेंगे. When it is riverine, it is relatively finer, right? So soil formation will be more suitable for crop cultivation. Soil formation in Karavas region will be more suitable for a specialized crop agricultural activities. That's why saffron, apple, ये सब वहाँ पे होता है. Apart from temperature, soil is also suitable there for that.
So while writing structure, we mentioned about soils also.
हाँ, जब स्ट्रक्चर पे बात करेंगे ना तो हाँ, रॉक्स की बात, एग्जैक्टली, टाइप्स ऑफ फोल्डिंग, जैसे शिवालिक के बारे में जो हम पढ़ेंगे तो वो दैट इज एन ओपन फोल्ड विथ अ वेरी सिंपल सिंक्लाइनल वैलीज. उसके शिवालिक का कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स क्या है? इट्स बेसिकली बिकॉज द लास्ट डिपोजिशन इन द टेथिस सी. उस तरह से होगा कि मतलब टेथिस सी का जो फॉर्मेशन हो रहा, ग्रेट हिमालय हुआ, मिडिल हिमालय, शिवालिक. तो जनरल डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ शिवालिक एज एन इंटीग्रल पार्ट ऑफ फोल्ड एंड बाउंड्री. Then the way it has been folded, what is the intensity of folding, why nap is not found there or the extremes of folding is not there. Fold 5-6 टाइप के होते हैं, monoclinal, isoclinal, recumbent, overthrust and then finally nap with the increasing intensity of folding. Right, so nap existence is there in Great Himalaya and that too in the eastern side. It is not found in the Shivalik. Shivaliks are not continuous very often. They are discontinued, especially in the eastern section. Its width, narrowness, these all a part of topography.
इसमें सर incline article contours
That is general for Himalayan. Swampi Tarai is basically the plain, the beginning of plain area. Foothills of Shivalik.
So for Rayalaseema, it is predominantly an arid region located on Telangana.
Telangana and Rayalaseema is different. Krishna river is the demarcation line. North of Krishna it is Telangana geographically, and south of it is Telangana.
Devoid of any minerals.
Climatological. एक लाइन में खत्म हो गया. नहीं, ये अक्सर फील करोगे, लगेगा कि हमको क्वेश्चन आ रहा है, बट द मोमेंट यू स्टार्ट राइटिंग सेकंड पेपर में ये प्रॉब्लम होगी. उस चीज को कैसे हैंडल करना है विल लर्न, ट्राई टू लर्न.
Southwest monsoon का effect नहीं रहता. That's why it is there.
ड्राई होगा तो इसका मतलब बारिश नहीं हो रही. एक्सप्लेन करना है बारिश क्यों नहीं हो रही, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ क्लाइमेटिक रीजंस यू विल असाइन टू इट, व्हाट इज द लेवल ऑफ टेम्परेचर, क्लाइमेटोलॉजिकल टेम्परेचर कंडीशन क्या है, विंटर टेम्परेचर कैसा है, समर टेम्परेचर. इसीलिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना कि एक छोटे से रीजन के बारे में पूछ दिया तो इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट. अब समर टेम्परेचर उसका ड्राई है तो समर टेम्परेचर क्या होगा, हाई होगा, रिलेटिवली हाई होगा. और जब समर टेम्परेचर हाई होगा तो उसका जो विंटर टेम्परेचर होगा वो क्या होगा, लो हो जाएगा. टेम्परेचर रेंज क्या होगा, विंड सिस्टम क्या हो जाएगा, जैसे लीवर्ड साइड बता रहे हो, विंड सिस्टम क्या होगा, प्रेशर सिस्टम क्या होगा, रेनफॉल क्या होगा, यही होगा क्लाइमेटोलॉजिकल एस्पेक्ट. उसमें पॉजिटिव फैक्टर बताते जाना है बस. हाँ, वेजिटेशन तो ओवरऑल एक पासिंग रेफरेंस हो सकता है, दैट्स ए कॉन्सिक्वेंस ऑफ क्लाइमेट. सॉइल्स की भी बात कर सकते हैं बट दैट विल बी ए पासिंग रेफरेंस बिकॉज यू आर सपोज टू टॉक अबाउट क्लाइमेटोलॉजिकल. एक ब्रॉडर चीजें अगर क्लियर है ना, जैसे क्लाइमेट के बारे में पूछा किसी भी एरिया के, तो क्लाइमेट का मतलब क्या होता है ये सबसे पहला स्ट्राइक करो दिमाग में कि क्लाइमेट में व्हाट आर द कंपोनेंट्स वी आर सपोज टू राइट. जैसे ड्राई रीजन पहले ही लिख दिए तो सब चीज खत्म हो गया ना. हाँ, क्लाइमेट को बताओ कि क्लाइमेट ऑफ एनी एरिया कैन बी अंडरस्टूड थ्रू डिफरेंट क्लाइमेटिक एलिमेंट्स एंड वेरिएशन ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. Since India is a tropical country, it is characterized by very well contrasted seasonal variation of temperature and other climatic components. Telangana or Rayalaseema is not an exception. Then you start with that. ठीक है, तब फिर आओ टेम्परेचर वेरिएशन कैसा है, टेम्परेचर रेंज कैसा है। जब वहां पे विंटर टेम्परेचर एक्सट्रीम्स होगा तो चांसेस ऑफ टेम्परेचर इन्वर्जन इज ऑल्सो देयर। समझ रहे? अब पूछ लेगा तुमको कि डिस्कस दी ज्योग्राफिकल जियोमॉर्फोलॉजिकल फीचर ऑफ थार डेजर्ट, जैसे हमने एक क्वेश्चन बनाया था, सिमिलर क्वेश्चन आया था उसमें, तो थार डेजर्ट। अब ईच एंड एवरी ज्योग्राफिकल एरिया यू आर नॉट सपोज टू डिस्कस इन डिटेल, you are not supposed to read in detail. The moment you are talking about Thar desert, so it is a desert area. So all the landforms present in the desert would be found there as well. So you talk about the sand dunes, you talk about the playa lakes, you talk about the oasis, you talk about the shifting sand dunes, then different types of sand dunes, then sand plain areas, then wind aeolian effect and all the Mesa and Butts and all. Geomorphological feature ये होगा. Now extreme aridity increases from west of Aravallis. जब aridity increase करेगा तो soil का coarseness है, उसको बताते जब बरखांस बनेगा तो वो लंबा होगा जब डेजर्ट की एरिडिटी ज्यादा है। तो जैसलमेर का एग्जाम्पल ले लो कि नियर बाय जैसलमेर ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला, लेकिन अब उसमें क्या करो, शुरुआत कैसे करो। सपोज करो कि डेजर्ट के बारे में आ गया, हाउ टू स्टार्ट विथ। सो डेजर्ट्स आर बेसिकली वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट लैंडफॉर्म्स कैरेक्टराइज्ड बाय लो रेनफॉल, हाई टेम्परेचर, नहीं, वेरी ऑफन हाई टेम्परेचर, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट हॉट डेजर्ट्स। अब देखो उसमें मिस कर रहे हो, वेजिटेशन नहीं होगा, हैबिटेशन के लिए नहीं है, ह्यूमन हैबिटेशन के लिए नहीं है, हार्श क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस हैं, राइट, रिलेटिवली पुअर बायोडाइवर्सिटी होती है। अब फिर आ जाओ, थार डेजर्ट इज वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट डेजर्ट्स इन, नॉट नेसेसरली ऑल द डेजर्ट्स में, नॉट, सहारा डेजर्ट है नाइल रिवर, तो उसको हम जनरलाइज नहीं कर, एब्सोल्यूट स्टेटमेंट हम वैसा ही डालेंगे विच यू डोंट गेट कॉट ऑन द रॉन्ग फुट, ये ध्यान रखना है। सॉरी, हाँ, जब थार की स्पेशली बात करेंगे तब हम बात करेंगे कि इनलैंड है, लेक्स पाए जाते हैं, जैसे संबर है, डिडवाना है, किचामन है, ऑल दीज आर सॉल्टी लेक्स। अब उसमें जब सॉल्टी लेक्स की बात करेंगे तो सॉल्ट एक्सट्रैक्शन की थोड़ी बात करेंगे, एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन हल्का हल्का दे दिया है वहां पे, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द लेंथ ऑफ द आंसर। अगर 10 मार्कर क्वेश्चन है तो बहुत ज्यादा डिटेल में नहीं जाएंगे, उसको शॉर्ट में लिख देंगे। दे आर द इम्पोर्टेंट सोर्स नॉट ओनली फॉर सॉल्ट प्रोडक्शन बट ऑल्सो गुड एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन इन ए रिलेटिवली, हाँ, सैंडस्टोन हो जाएगा, सैंडी डेजर्ट्स हो जाएगा, रॉकी डेजर्ट्स हो जाएगा। हाँ, जैसे सॉल्ट एक्सट्रैक्शन की हम बात करेंगे तो अब राजस्थान के एरिया में विच डजंट हैव एनफ अमाउंट ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज फॉर एग्रीकल्चर, डजंट हैव गुड अमाउंट ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर फॉरेस्ट्री, इज नॉट वेरी suitable for industrial activities. So if you have some activity which can provide employment generation, that is all the good. So salt extraction obviously is a very important aspect in the economy of Rajasthan.
And also you can tell about the new venture of solar panels.
That's again that will be one important, but that's not associated with geomorphology. High temperature की जब हम बात करेंगे तो then we can talk about, it's very good nowadays for the solar.
In this, can we talk about geopolitical issues cause of sand dunes and deserts, like water issues with Pakistan, like
Water issues with?
Pakistan due to shifting of sand dunes. Sometimes water also gets deposited into sand dunes. Can we talk about these things in these questions?
बात कर सकते हैं, but again when it is geomorphological aspect, discuss the geomorphological features of Thar desert. So you'll have to bring such information like whether water disputes with Pakistan or border disputes with Pakistan, just as a passing reference, very smartly, that you are not trying to display your information. Discuss the mechanism of Indian monsoon. Explain the structural characteristics of the Deccan Plateau. Structural characteristics.
As an scarp, we have to talk about.
And look at here, it is of 30 marks. Sorry? That is fissure eruption, that's the process. Then nature of lava, basaltic lava, why basaltic?
Start from कि Precambrian rock है इस वजह से
प्रीकैम्ब्रियन कहाँ से आ गया उसमें?
कडप्पा वाली रीजन हुई तो तेलंगाना
अच्छा, तेलंगाना की बात कर रहे हैं हम, डेक्कन प्लाटो की बात कर रहे हैं। तो वहाँ पे रायलसीमा की अगर हम बात करेंगे तो वो तो ये है ना, दैट इज बेसिकली एसोसिएटेड विद द क्लाइमेटोलॉजिकल। द क्वेश्चन इज अबाउट क्लाइमेटोलॉजिकल। अब झूठ मूठ का उसमें जियोलॉजिकल क्यों घुसाएंगे हम? जियोमॉर्फोलॉजिकल वहीं पे जरूरत पड़ेगी जहां पे हम क्लाइमेटोलॉजी की बात कर रहे हैं। कई बार होता है क्या ना, जब नहीं बाइफरकेट ट्राइफरकेट करोगे ना, मल्टी डायमेंशनल नहीं जाओगे, तो फिर टू फाइंड आउट इंफॉर्मेशन विल बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट। जैसे अब क्लाइमेट की ही हम बात करें या जियोमॉर्फोलॉजी की बात। जियोमॉर्फोलॉजी का मतलब क्या होता है? लैंडफॉर्म्स। ये स्ट्रक्चर का क्या मतलब होता है? रिलीफ का क्या मतलब होता है? रिलीफ एक जनरल रिलीफ होगा, एक रीजनल रिलीफ होगा, एक लोकल रिलीफ होगा। तो व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट डिस्कस द रिलीफ फीचर ऑफ गंगा प्ले, एक लाइन में खत्म हो सकता है आंसर कि जब वेस्ट टू ईस्ट से दिल्ली से जाते हैं तो वेस्ट टू ईस्ट है, लेकिन वहीं पर अगर हिमालय से आते हैं तो नॉर्थ टू साउथ है, कट करता है वो गंगा वैली के पास। देन फ्लड प्लेन, तब उस पर फिर रिलीफ में, जनरल रिलीफ में आ जाएगा 4 जो मेजर रिलीफ है, भब्बर, तराई, भांगर, खद्दर। Then again you will have to talk about the cones, intercones, alluvial fans, then local topographic features along the marginal areas, then natural levees which is the characteristics of riverine landforms. All the riverine landforms जो भी आप बात कर सकते हो गंगा प्लेन में होगा ही होगा। डेल्टा की बात करेंगे, मियांडरिंग की बात करेंगे हम, ऑक्सबो लेक्स की बात करेंगे। ऑक्सबो लेक्स हर साइट ऑफ इनलैंड फिशिंग की बात कर देंगे वहाँ पे। दैट इज meandering। तो जब ब्रॉडर चीजें पता है ना तो लिखना आसान हो जाता है, और लिखने आसान ही नहीं होता है सिर्फ, बल्कि आपको एक कोहेरेंस लाना आंसर के पॉइंट्स को। हर चीज में जोड़ सकते हैं हम इकोनॉमी, इकोनॉमी। लेकिन वहां पे जो क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है उसको आंसर देते हुए रिलेवेंस दिखाना बहुत ही जरूरी है। कि इफ यू आर जैसे लाइक सपोज यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द meandering, so meandering, when you are talking about the meandering, you make a map of meandering, then talk about Kosi as one of the most infamous meandering rivers, then you talk about meandering related flood, but flood पे आप डिटेल में नहीं जा सकते हैं। then meandering के बाद जब ऑक्सबो लेक्स बताएंगे तो ऑक्सबो लेक्स को हो सकता है डिटेल में जाएं, बट आप इनलैंड फिशिंग वहां पे होती है, इस पे डिटेल में नहीं जा सकते। जैसे लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ यू एक्सप्लेन ऑक्सबो लेक्स विच आर एन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट साइट फॉर इनलैंड फिशिंग एंड एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन इन अदरवाइज रूरल एरियाज, खत्म हो गया। 4 वर्ड से ज्यादा आप नहीं लिख सकते, आप उसमें नहीं दे सकते हैं रूरल एरिया में लोग वहां पे बहुत बढ़िया हो जाते हैं, जहां पे ये होता है वो, तो उस पर फिर नहीं जा सकते। दैट विल बी देन लूजिंग द एक्चुअल डिबेट। Discuss the role of a spatial pattern of rainfall and temperature in the delimitation of climatic region of India, especially with respect to stamp climatic। देखो 2 बार पूछा है, दोनों स्टैम्प के बारे में ही पूछा है, ऑलमोस्ट सेम क्वेश्चन है 2012-2016। क्लाइमेटिक क्लासिफिकेशन, हाँ, आप कोई भी क्लाइमेटिक रीजन्स अगर फाइंड आउट करते हैं तो उसी को हम डिलिमिटेशन कहते हैं। Delimiting the boundary means finding out a region, and a region is the most important criteria of a region to be called a region is homogeneity of certain characteristics. Here we are talking about climatic region, we have linguistic regions, we have physiographic regions, we have several such regions, we have cultural regions. Pick up any question and write an answer. Preferably from the climatic aspect, and where you feel that information is sufficient. बहुत दिनों से तुम लोगों को टॉर्चर भी नहीं किया है ना मैंने, उतना राइट बनता है। Saturday is not a good tortuous round. This is a tortuous round where you are not supposed to well prepared. हमने अभी पढ़ा भी नहीं उस पे मैं तुमको आंसर लिखने कह रहा हूँ। ये सबसे ज़्यादा काम आएगा एग्जामिनेशन में। How much time more is required? Five, 10? हाँ? 10 minutes. फिर मैं यहाँ क्यों खड़ा हूँ? जैसे जिसने सिमिलर क्वेश्चन का आंसर किया है, एक ग्रुप बना करके आ जाएगा, हम लोग उस पर बात कर लेंगे। ठीक है? Climate of India. Question may be unity in diversity. Discuss the impact of climate over socio-economic aspect. Then factors affecting climate of India. देन फिर मॉनसून पे आ जाती है बात। मॉनसून में फिर आ जाएगा कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ मॉनसून, फैक्टर्स अफेक्टिंग मॉनसून सर्कुलेशन, mechanism of monsoon, role of monsoon in Indian economy, temperature and rainfall distribution pattern and its impact, and then climatic classification. Similarly, right here we'll talk about floods and droughts. Here itself we'll talk about tropical cyclones and western disturbances. All these topics we'll talk in one go. हम लोग पहले इसी सारे टॉपिक को डिस्कस करेंगे, उसके बाद फिजियोग्राफिक डिवीजन स्ट्रक्चरली। एक जनरल आइडिया फिजियोग्राफी का तो सभी को होगा ही, राइट? नॉर्दर्न माउंटेन्स, प्लेन्स, प्लेटूज, एंड देन सेवरल फीचर्स ऑन द प्लेटूज इटसेल्फ, चूँकि वो भी थोड़ा यूज होगा। नाउ फर्स्ट द यूनिटी इन डाइवर्सिटी। Very easy to explain diversity, right? like diversities in temperature, diversity in rainfall, diversity in wind system, diversity in cyclones, diversity in jet streams, right? And then temperature, seasonal contrast, regional variation, intra-regional variation, basically topographic effect. Generally extreme summer, cool to cold winters, starting from equatorial to polar climate, diversity, right? Even during summer season, some areas are snow covered. Within India itself, glaciers. For example, equatorial to polar climate. Throughout the year, temperature, contrast, temperature range again varies from lowest like equatorial region to maximum like polar continental areas. Temperature inversion occurrence in the continental interior, Thar deserts and urban areas again varies a lot. Isotherms widely spaced to closely spaced, seasonal variation and intra-seasonal coexistence. Transitional seasons in between the summer and winter. What will be that? The spring season and winter and summer, autumn. Sorry, ulta. Hmm?
Need to explain.
Huh?
This transition would be there roughly
No. We have 4 seasons. That is uniqueness of India.
7, so 4 is from mythological 4,
Huh.
right? And then 6 or 7, like the cultural seasons that we say, different in the different
Like?
like the Posh and in Hindi also.
वो month है.
वो मंथ है ना, जैसे
Seasons
सीजन्स
also.
4 ही होंगे, स्प्रिंग, ऑटम, समर, विंटर. समर को भी फिर हॉट विंटर, ड्राई समर और वेट समर में डिवाइड कर सकते हैं. दैट्स दी ओनली दिस थिंग, बट दैट इज समर ओनली. एंड समर और विंटर के बीच में ट्रांजिशन है, विंटर और समर के बीच में भी ट्रांजिशन है. समर और विंटर के बीच में ऑटम है ना, उल्टा कर दिया मैंने, ऑटम, यहाँ पे स्प्रिंग. So 4 conspicuous season, which is again a rare uniqueness. I'm not saying that it's not repeated, it's not found anywhere in the world, but for a country like our size, it is a rare phenomenon. That is diversity, right? What is unity? The term tropical country defines, I'm talking about now unity, defines the whole temperature regime of India. Despite so much diversity, the term is tropical country. Even the subtropical areas experience greater tropical climate than the true subtropical. Rainfall, diversity, the highest to one of the lowest. Give example. Mausan Ram, Cherrapunji, one of the lowest. Jaisalmer, Ladakh. Temperature में example दे सकते हो. Even the cold desert and hot desert coexist in this area. Temperature वाले में example ले लो. One of the lowest. Then regional variation. Intra-regional variation. Coexistence of floods and droughts during the same season, very often in the same region as well. Almost all varieties of precipitation and cloud types. all varieties of storms and cyclones. Thunderstorm, water spots, a bit of tropical cyclone, temperate cyclone, hailstorms, storm surge, all are coexistent. What is unity?
Most of the country receives rainfall at one period.
Summer dominant, right? Wind को भी include कर लो तो through southwest monsoon. Winter less rainfall all over the country. Less rainfall all over the country except Tamil Nadu. Primarily in the form of raindrops. Wind system reflects the greatest possible unity among the major climatic components, right? That is monsoon, periodic wind, southwest, northeast, covering the whole country. Cyclones we already talked about. Eastern dominated diversity. Tropical cyclone. Western is not untouched as well. Thunderstorm. Again, eastern states much higher as compared to western states. Then temperate cyclone affecting northern India during winter, called western disturbances. This is all diversity only?
We have more diversity than
Yes, of course. Finding out diversity is very easy. So we have more diversity, but even unity is coexistent here as well. Jet stream, the most peculiar aspect of Indian climate is the existence of two jet streams in the same region and dependent upon each other. Subtropical westerly jet, a winter time phenomena. Tropical easterly jet, a summertime phenomena. A rare combination on the surface of the earth. Winter time phenomena. Grossly, if you talk about unity, climatic unity, again the term is tropical monsoon. This single term explains the unity. If the entire country can be assigned with two terms, that itself suggests unity. Then unity of again temperature throughout the country. Even the northernmost latitude has much uniform temperature in summer season on the higher side, may not be the highest side. Tropical is also not purely tropical. Subtropical is highly modified to club in the tropical or club in the Indian type of tropical climate. Non-existence of convergence even when the ITCZ exists over the North Indian plain. This makes Indian climate much more unique. Then unity of wind pattern, unity of pressure system. What do you mean by convergence? What do we mean by convergence?
Non-existence of convergence even when ITCZ exists.
Exists. exists, like the ITCZ, when we move northward and passes over the Indian subcontinent, that's why we call it monsoon trough. We do not call it ITCZ, but in actuality, technically, it is an ITCZ, extension of ITCZ. I hope you remember ITCZ when we say intertropical convergence zone. It is the convergence of zone of two trade winds. So for the convergence zone, the two trade winds should come and converge, right? Now, when ITCZ shifts northward under the influence of northern hemisphere summer, so what actually happens, here you have this way ITCZ move, and then it will come slightly closer to equator, then in Africa it will move like this, and when it comes to India it goes like this, right, in the summer season. Now here it passes very close to Himalaya, and the presence of Himalaya does not allow the subtropical high pressure to build up in that area. So this is a one-way movement on the ground. In the ITCZ in the equatorial region or anywhere in the world, there is two-way movement and there is a proper convergence, and that complicates the whole monsoon mechanism as well, because if there is a convergence, the rise can be complemented by the convergence. Here there is a one way, so it has to generate its own energy to rise and then diverge. Getting that? So there is absence of convergence even when the ITCZ exists over the northern plain. That's again the uniqueness of Indian climate. Unity of wind pattern and pressure system. Then unity in rainfall distribution, especially seasonal pattern. Unity in seasonal pattern of rainfall. Write down the question and you can try in your mind at home. The question is, India presents a great example of unity in diversity. With respect to its climate. Discuss. Second point, the second question rather, the climate of India presents a model for the globe to facilitate not only the research work but also the interrelationship between the parameters. The interrelationship between the parameters. Discuss. Both the questions will have content from whatever we have discussed, right? When we talk about a model for the globe, means all the varieties are existing in our country. Sorry?
First one focuses on the second one speaks of diversity.
Diversity, yes, beautiful. Diversity, and then how it will facilitate research work. There is an interrelationship of the subtropical westerly jet and tropical easterly jet. Once we elaborate and discuss that, things will be much more clear. Factors affecting climate of India. what is the most important factor affecting climate? What is the most important factor affecting the climate? What is the most component of climate? Temperature. And what is the most important factor affecting temperature? Insolation.
Latitudinal location.
Latitude. Right? So first the latitudinal extent of India. Roughly 8 degree north to 38 degree north. So, Tropic of Cancer passes through the middle. Dividing southern half and northern half latitudinally, not area wise, because northern area is area wise it is 2:1 ratio, but the northern portion is twice that of southern portion because of its much greater width in the northern part. Now technically the southern portion should experience tropical climate and northern one should experience subtropical. But practically it is not experienced in its original form, primarily because of other factors. Tropical is diluted because of the presence of two arms of Indian Ocean, that is Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea, whereas the expected subtropical is modified because of the presence of the Himalayas. Second factor, the shape of the, in fact, shape of the peninsular plateau. The modification, factor modifying it. और इसको डिफरेंट कर देते हैं, थोड़ा बुकिश नहीं रहेगा. The factors modifying the tropical or pure tropical climate. The first is the Indian Ocean. Book will write it nearness to sea. That's not a very good point, because it is nearness to, when you use the term nearness to sea, it is only affecting the coastal area. But in our case, what happens, the eastern coast is much more affected by the nearness to sea as compared to the western coast. So we'll have to differentiate between that. So the Indian Ocean and its impact. And the second is the shape of the peninsula. Right? When we say Indian Ocean, obviously its varied impact of maritimity. Maritimity, I hope we understand, the effect of ocean over the coastal climate. Now, what happens? The effect is far deeper inside into the eastern coastal plain, making even the interior climate more maritime than continental. For example, Hyderabad. Because of the relatively flat Eastern Ghat and projected high Western Ghat. Hope we understand this also, because when it is about sea breeze or onshore winds, without much obstruction it can enter into the eastern coastal areas as compared to the western coastal areas. यहाँ पे कभी इंडियन मैप हुआ करता था, हैं? फिर लगा देना चाहिए. Now, shape of the peninsula is inverted triangle with base in the north, right? Roughly means it tapers southward, that is towards the equator. Hopefully we can understand the significance. If it is inverted, if it is just changed, things will be totally different. That means when we move southward, the influence of ocean can cover almost the entire area, right? Because of lesser width. Towards south, the effect of vertical rays is less here. Hence, the temperature is not purely of tropical kind. Hopefully we can understand. That means not effect here, basically modified by the influence of the ocean, because the oceanic influence, the influence of maritime, will also be associated with certain area. it cannot move far deeper in the interior of the country, right? So when we talk about the coastal effect of an oceanic area, this is limited to certain extent, and that extent decreases southward. That means moving towards the equator. If you imagine that the width is increasing, then the central part would have been a perfect desert like Sahara Desert. Yes. Huh? For example, if the interior of the continent is much wider, so the influence of ocean would be least in the central part, right? So if the central part influence is least, then the rainfall would have been much lower than what it receives. If it is much lower and with higher temperature, so temperature would have been on the higher side. So high temperature means greater evaporation, and less rainfall would have produced a perfect condition for deserts to happen.
Less moisture.
Hmm?
Moisture भी less.
हाँ, मॉइस्चर भी लेस होता और कॉन्टिनेंटलिटी बढ़ जाती, तो उसकी वजह से वो एक डेजर्ट में जनरेट हो, डेजर्ट प्रोड्यूस हो जाता है. जैसे क्लोज टू इक्वेटर, सेवरल एरियाज विच आर अ डेजर्ट, even close to equator, because of the continentality, even the equatorial region does not receive rainfall if the continents are much bigger. Okay? The third factor is the physiography of India. Physiography affects temperature and rainfall, the two most important climatic elements are affected by the diverse physiography. I mean, you can rarely imagine the 10-degree latitude located place to experience snowfall, Nilgiri Hills. Right? That's a rare phenomenon. So that is how. Now, most dominant type of rainfall in India is orographic. Hence, you explain leeward, windward effect, hence physiography play, and physiography have a direct impact on temperature and indirect impact on temperature through precipitation. Direct impact on temperature because of altitude. And we have hugely diverse physiography in our country. Even on the peninsular plateau, we have a large number of undulations in the form of hills, in the form of grabens, in the form of troughs, in the form of blocks. High range of temperature, नहीं अभी इस पे नहीं आते हैं, इस पे आते हैं the Himalaya, the presence of Himalaya. Presence of Himalaya affecting winter temperature. keep the northern portion warmer by 3 to 4 degrees Celsius than its latitudinal position by inhibiting the cold Siberian winds entering into our country. ठीक है? Besides, it play an important role in temperature regime, rainfall distribution, and pressure system of the subcontinent. It affects the direction of jet streams as well. So overall the impact of Himalaya on the monsoon is also very obvious and conspicuous. Vast, fifth point, continental area in the north. And northwest. Continental areas, the most important impact would be on temperature. So affecting temperature, producing well marked seasonal contrast, that is very high temperature range, annual temperature range. Annual temperature range. This has its impact over the pressure system, right? So change in pressure in the same region seasonally, producing change or reversal of wind direction. Then presence of monsoon, a periodic wind produced because of temperature and pressure change. seasonal, periodic wind लिखना, seasonal, reversal, two types, southwest, northeast, summer phenomena, winter phenomena. Perhaps the purest form of monsoon is experienced only in Indian subcontinent. Again, the wind had its own impact on rainfall and temperature. The next point is the effect of ENSO, El Nino Southern Oscillation, right? The effect of Walker circulation, that is equatorial zonal circulation, effect of La Nina, effect of Indian Ocean Dipole. Then effect of topography and other local features. Topography produces thunderstorms. Thunderstorms. Local features primarily associated with cyclones, vortices, depression, dust devils, cloudburst, especially the microclimate, Lu, छोटा एरियाज जब होगा और बहुत लोकलाइज्ड हीटेड हो जाएगा. थंडरस्टॉर्म हम लोग पढ़ेंगे डिटेल में इसी के साथ. हाँ, इंटेंसिटी ऑफ हीट अगर ज़्यादा हो जाएगी, फॉर एग्जांपल द टोपोग्राफी इज सच दैट one smaller area has the capacity to generate more amount of heat, absorb more amount of heat, so that will produce thunderstorm. Thunderstorm is relatively a small area but very high intensity wind circulation at the local level. Any question if you have from here?
So this Lu is the effect of topography or it's a local feature?
Local features. Topography means local. Topography itself is local undulation. So both local features I am talking about with respect to coastal areas, ocean waters, and other features. So combination of both. If it is a vast plain area, relatively larger plain area, then you will have loop. If the undulation is very strong, then you will not have loop.
So when we say regime, actually it is a pattern.
हाँ, changes. जैसे river regime को हम लेते हैं. So हाँ, the regime is the term, not summer. When we say regime, is the like for example river regime. The most important, the most common term regime is used with respect to river. So fluctuating amount of water in river, volume wise, volume water, the way it is changes over the periods in a year. So that is river regime is increasing then decreasing. The similar about when we talk about temperature regime, it is the increasing and decreasing graph with respect to temperature. Right. Normally the regime of northern plain will be much sharper like this. Range is very high. The coastal areas will have relatively flat. Right. In the middle you will have slightly more oval shaped. That is temperature regime. The way it is gradually increasing and then coming down. It is temperature.
Basically overall temperature is plotted.
In a year. It's temperature regime.
So physiography has indirect impact on precipitation.
Indirect impact on temperature. एक direct impact हो गया because of altitude. Indirect impact on temperature through precipitation. If the rainfall is higher in any region, the temperature will be lower than expected. So physiography has an indirect impact on temperature as well as direct impact on temperature. That's how when we discuss monsoon, the ITCZ oscillates or monsoon trough oscillates towards north and then comes south, then comes north, then goes this way, the monsoon trough. Because of the indirect impact of rainfall over temperature. Okay? Tomorrow we'll discuss the monsoon.